find out?
Nothing.
Oh, we're live.
Gia and Tonya are my morning coffee.
Oh, I was feeling it.
Good way to kick off the morning.
Yeah. It would have been cool if Brett and Evan, if you guys, when we came up, you would have been like moving, grooving into it. That would have been really good. There we go. Hey, I see you.
Yeah, Gia, if you ever see me dance, that really wouldn't have been cool.
Oh,
that would
okay.
be bad. Yeah.
Good morning. You know what, Evan?
It's not my thing.
Evan, we might have to talk together. Hey, get on TikTok.
Good morning. Welcome to another episode of My Morning Coffee, where the conversation is always hot, bold, organic, and full of flavor. And today, we promise not to disappoint with these amazing gentlemen that we have here in a very timely fashion, I should say, Brett Cooper and Evans Kerrigan. And we are going to get into some very cool conversation about solving the people problem. But before that, let's talk about what's in your cup. So what are you drinking on this morning? What have you been up to? And how are things going? Brett, let's get just started with you.
Well, I got my cup. That's my nightmare before Christmas cup that my daughter gave me. So I'm drinking Jack the Pumpkin King today. No Jack in the cup though. It's only coffee. I did spice it up with a little bit of oat milk this morning. So that's how I'm living on the edge on a Monday morning here. As far as what I'm doing, it's Monday morning. I live in San Francisco, and it's been a beautiful weekend. My wife and I spent a bunch of time walking around the Berkeley Hills this weekend. So we were enjoying the beautiful panoramic views of the city and enjoying some sunshine, getting outside, not seeing anybody, wearing masks, of course. But it was a nice way to get outside and enjoy our time for the weekend.
I love it. Miss Gia, what's in your cup this morning?
Well, my cup it has a little bit of coffee left. I had to get started early because, I'm a little tired this morning because I had a busy weekend and a busy Sunday. So I'm a little kind of like still asleep, but I'm going to try to wake up for this hour.
I'm going to need you to wake up.
And be engaged and stuff. So I haven't been up to, I've been up to some things, but not my usual creative things and things like that. Yesterday was my son's baby shower. And the grandparents, we hosted it, myself, Jeff, and Valerie. And it was at our house. And I haven't hosted a baby shower in probably, well over 30 years because it's been that long since my godkids were born. And when I was young, in my early 20s and stuff, doing the shower.
So what are we going to call you, Officer Nana, or what? What's the name?
Oh, I kind of like that, Officer Nana. I didn't think about that one. That's a new one. I didn't think about that. Right now we're at Granny G.
Granny G. I like that.
Yeah, Granny G. Yeah. So,
G for like gangsta or what? Like what?
Well, you know what? The G stands for a lot of things when it comes to me. And first, I'll say it's probably the first one is goddess, okay, and then we'll go for we can throw in gangster, we can throw in gorgeous, it's all kind of things, Gia, but Granny G, hey,
I can go OG Granny.
Well, it is OG.
I hope it stands for OG because some of these people have forgotten how to be good grandparents. Right.
Yeah, right.
I need you to be the grandma. I don't need you in the club with your grandkids. I need you to be the OG.
Nice.
Well, yeah, I probably will be the OG because I won't be in the club. So yeah. So that was that. I'll get into probably more of the shower. I think maybe later in the show, or you want me to jump into it now, or
hold on to that one. We'll come back to G time.
Okay.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's it.
So Evans, what's up with you? What's in your cup?
Well, my cup's a little bit different. My cup's all water now because I got rid of my 3 cups of coffee earlier this morning. I'm on the East Coast. So my first cup of coffee was it would have been about 1 a.m. your time, I think. That's when I got started. So I'm a little bit later in my day. My weekend also actually was family. Small bubble. My daughter and son-in-law live in town, and it was my son-in-law Raj's birthday. So we went over there for his birthday, which was, to be perfectly honest, a little bit of an excuse for me to interact with my granddaughter. So, so we went over, spent some time with them, had a wonderful brunch, and got to play with McKenna and have a good time. So I'm Papa, actually, is my name, and my wife's Nani. So taking a little bit from the traditions of my son-in-law. So
cool.
Okay.
Cool. Love it. So
what about, let's get into Tonya. What have you been up to?
So I'm always about sisters empowering each other. So this weekend, I spent some time working on my book, Ladies Lead the Way. My son and my husband were in Arizona, where life still happens. They can go to restaurants and they can live out their day regularly as long as they wear their masks. So they were in Arizona. He had baseball. I was here with the twins, so I don't know if you checked my page, but my baby boy, the 10-year-old, he has decided that he wants to be a chef better than Guy Fieri. So we were cooking this weekend. He makes his steak. He says mom makes them too gray, and he likes them medium well at 10. Okay. So we did a little culinary thing this weekend and got ready for MLK Day today with the police department, the engagement board, did some of that work, and a couple of other cool things I'll tell you guys about later. But I got coffee because there's a lot going on today.
I gotta ask, what gets a 10-year-old interested in culinary skills?
Man, I'm really trying to figure it out. He has never really been an eater, but I think he recognized that he likes things his way. That's what it is. So he decided he wants things done his way. He wants them to taste the way that he wants. So he's going to cook himself.
Well, Brett, you have to meet her 10-year-old. He's not your average 10-year-old. He reminds me of, he's a little man to me. And it's like he's been here before, and he's wise beyond his years. And it's almost scary to me because, but I just love him. When I go by there, I just love, everything about him, every little thing, and the things that drive Tonya crazy. I just love him because he's a character to me. So I think he's just one of these little kids that if he thinks of something in his head, he wants to do it, he's going to do it, and nothing's going to stop him. And he does
anything that he doesn't like, he creates what he does like. So if he talks about buildings and if it's something about the building, he will decide, okay, well, I'm just going to be an engineer. If he does not like certain things that I cook or that dad cooks, he wants to do it himself. And since I don't make his steak well enough, he decided to make it himself. So that's his thing now. He just wants to cook all the time. And now he does chicken and he does steak and he does his thing. So I just sit back and watch, and I think it's pretty interesting.
I'm waiting for tacos.
Yeah,
interesting stuff. Yeah,
it's cool. It's cool to see him. Yeah, cool to see him. Yeah, cool to see him taking charge of the things he can around him. That's really cool at that age. Yeah.
It's a little scary because he will try to coach his own baseball team. He tries to coach the coaches. I have to tell him, that's not how it works, son. You can't coach the coaches. You're 10. I'm gonna need you to relax a little. So it's interesting, but he's a very strong personality, and I think today you guys will give us a little insight on how we deal with people with strong personalities that we have to work with and get along with. Yeah.
Yeah, I think some of the concepts we'll be talking about today, your son might want to pick up on, because it's really about, it's about understanding personality. It's about understanding your own preferences as well as other people's preferences, largely when it comes to communication, but it could go with food as well. But if you start to understand what other people want out of their communication and you tweak how you communicate with them, yeah, you can be so much more effective. So yeah, the whole idea around different personalities, understanding them, embracing that diversity of thought and that diversity of interest. I think we'll cover a lot of ground here today.
Well, let's go ahead and get into it. I see the same book behind you and Evans. So feel free to jump in, let the people know what you do, show us the book and how you can help us, because I think we all need a little help today.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and tee us up here. So here's the book, Solving the People Problem, Essential Skills You Need to Lead and Succeed in Today's Workplace. This is it's kind of the culmination of 20-year relationship that Evans and I have had. We started working together almost 20 years ago. And we were doing consulting, operations consulting, business improvement kind of consulting. And one of the things we kept running into was, as we're trying to help businesses improve and get their processes cleaned up and try to save some money and get new clients and things like that, one of the things we kept running into was the fact that people were having problems communicating with each other. They were having problems either being a leader and trying to lead other people, or they were having problems with their boss. And so we started looking for new ways to bring solutions in that would solve, well, the people problem, quite honestly, which is people not being able to communicate well with each other. And so we found a couple of really powerful models. The first is emotional intelligence, which is all about the idea of understanding kind of your own emotions and your own style, and also understanding the styles of other people, and then using that to be a better communicator and to kind of shape your behaviors to be more effective with people. And then the other goes back to that point that you brought up, Tonya, about personality, which is personality styles. There's a whole bunch of different personality styles instruments out there. You have Myers-Briggs, you have Enneagram, and you have DISC. DISC is the one that we find to be most powerful. And so we've taken some of these ideas around emotional intelligence and DISC personality styles, blended them together. And in solving the people problem, we really put together kind of a how-to guide for people to understand themselves and understand other people better. So that's kind of the core of what the book is about.
So I think with leaders, many of them feel like, why do I have to understand how this other person acts or feels? If I run this organization, shouldn't I be able to set the rules and set the standards? Like, how far does that go? How far do you have to go and bend in order to be able to get along with people or get them to follow your lead, particularly if you are the leader of the organization?
So we're going to look at leadership a little bit differently. Leadership is about service. Leadership isn't about you. It's about the people you work with. So from our perspective, it's a whole lot better if everybody is pulling in that direction. If everybody is trying to get us successful. And if I can tell people what to do, I can maybe get them to comply, but I'm never going to get their best. So leadership is really about being able to build that relationship. It's about understanding those people. And we've all worked for those people who seem to really get us and may have done things when they recognized us. They recognized us in a way that actually mattered to us. It wasn't about some schedule. It was about something that actually mattered to us. You guys have both talked about kids earlier. I mean, I had people who worked for me who giving them a little bit of time off or giving them movie tickets or setting up a babysitter for them. Yeah, those people really wanted to do whatever they could to make us successful. That's a whole lot more successful way for us to work. And actually, the research tends to say that our emotional intelligence is going to have a much bigger impact on our long-term career success than our intelligence or even the skills that we have. It's our ability to work with others that actually enables things to happen. Right? Leadership is really about getting people together to make things go forward.
So how do you get people to understand even that concept, right? Because it's kind of abstract to a lot of people. it's a cliche. The word leadership is like, they throw it around now like it's very cliche. So how do
Right.
you
Yep.
really get people to acknowledge that?
And can we go back to, like, you talk about the workforce and we talk about leadership?
Yeah.
Well, the leaders are always, to me, sending their employees to these workshops about leadership. And it seems like to me that maybe the workshop really should be geared to the leaders, the employers, because those are the people who seem to me, based on some of the things you guys are saying, that really has the problem. I don't think it's the employee.
Yeah, so I would tend to agree with you, Gia. I used to work in corporate America, and in one of my organizations, I had like an unofficial nickname I had picked up. I ran leadership development and training for the organization, culture work, and I picked up the nickname the Untrainer. I was responsible for about 150 facilities around the world, and I was the Untrainer because exactly what you were saying, Gia. I would have people come and tell me they had to get all their people trained. And I'd be like, does everybody actually need new skills, or is there something else going on here? And frequently it was, okay, you haven't figured out how to actually get the best out of people. That's you needing to learn, not your people needing to learn. And it does happen frequently. At the same time, though, I don't want to let people off the hook. From my belief, we are all leaders. Because I don't look at leadership as a position. Leadership is a way in which we interact with other people to make things happen. And I've seen leaders who are not the tops in their organization who are much better leaders of people than people they report to. And I think we have a lot of leeway to actually make great things happen without just saying, you know what, they really need some help, right? That may be true, but there's still stuff I can do. And at the end of the day, I want to be able to look myself in the mirror and say, what have I done that has helped everybody around me be more successful than they would have been if I weren't here, if I weren't doing what I was doing? How can I make sure that all of them succeed in their goals around work, around life, in whatever case that might be?
You're right, and that's a good point. And I always tell my staff that my job is to make sure that when I leave here or you leave me, that at least you took something from me. I was able to give you something to make you a better employee, or if you're going to be going to become a better supervisor. That's what it's about. But it seems though to me, well, I've only worked for really one company majority of my life, and it's always a joke when promotions come around and certain people get promoted and we see the names, we see people, and, then, everybody's talking shit, somewhere about somebody's name on the list and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But it seems to be in some companies, a lot of people that move up the rank really don't have the things that you just talked about, Evan. And it's always a person that's still stagnated in that one position, that one rank, that can't get to the top, and that's showing more leadership qualities and that can really move and the mission along, but they're the ones that can't get promoted, can't get that next assignment and stuff for whatever reason, and that gets frustrating in the workforce, especially when you work especially in government jobs, because a lot of jobs are based on tests. You got to take a test to get to the next rank, and then you got to wait and hope that somebody likes you enough, because it's not really about your skills. It's really about that likes you, and sometimes you're a likable person, but you're not in an arena for people to see how great you are, see that you're likable. You get stagnated there too. So how does that person, I guess, graduate or be able to cross the street?
Yeah, so there's a lot that goes into that, and I think there is change happening. More and more organizations are realizing actually those technical skills and grabbing the person who is best at that technical skill and making them the manager can be a really, really bad idea. We're management consultants. We actually get pulled in at times because somebody got promoted to a place where they're maybe really good at what they had done, but now they've been put in a situation where they're creating more damage than they are actually creating value. And and we need to help people recover and understand that really earlier and earlier in their career, and learn those skills and learn to get better with people. One of the questions that I always asked when I was looking at hiring leaders was, tell me about your best leadership experience. And if I had a leader talk about themselves, that's a red flag for me. If I had a leader talk about what their people were able to do, what they accomplished, what happened to them, where they were able to move on to, where they were able to succeed, that's what I'm looking for. The person who is humble enough to realize that if I do it right, I'm a little bit in the background because I'm making everybody else look good. I can't help but succeed if everybody else does. So that focus on caring for others and really wanting to make them successful, that's really what we need more and more in leadership.
And I'm going to add in, Gia, something that I think you'll find interesting. There was a study done a few years ago, a survey of, I think it was about 14,000 people from a big training company. And they asked two questions. The first is, how old were you when you took on your first leadership position? You're at work where you're managing other people.
Mm-hmm.
The average age was 28. They asked a second question. How old were you when you got your first leadership development training of any kind? Want to guess what that age was on average?
What 40?
Very close.
42. 42 years old. So, right, we get a job. We put people in a job at 28, and we say, go ahead, do a fantastic job, figure it out. In 14 years, we'll tell you how to do it. It doesn't make any sense. And you're absolutely right. You've worked for that one organization, but we've worked with hundreds of organizations, and we've seen this time and time again play out. That you get into this leadership role because you're doing your individual contributor job well enough. And okay, now we want you to manage other people who have that individual contributor job. And it's like, okay, that's a completely different skill set. It's a completely different behavioral set of skills. So the idea that people struggle in the workplace and they have these, problems being a good leader to the direct reports, or direct reports struggle with their leaders, it makes sense when you look at what do we actually do in these organizations. And to your point about, people go to workshops and they're saying, well, how about the leaders up there? How come they can't do this? Evans, if you recall, we had the same kind of realization back when we were doing more of the process improvement stuff before we even started this company, Integris Performance Advisors. We were seeing all the time, big leaders up on top saying, okay, well, we need to fix the problems. So go work with them down there. And then let us know when it's done. And we're like, a lot of the problems that we're running into, it's actually what you're doing up there. So let's bring you into that.
So listen, in a time like this, I like when you talk about communication, but let's acknowledge that cultural differences causes problems in communication, right? But what are some of the solutions that you guys have provided to help people understand how to communicate better, even through cultural differences, and how to implement more leadership that is diverse and different than people are used to? Because we all know that people fear change or something different.
Yeah. The idea of diversity is so powerful, and it's diversity of all kinds, right? It's racial diversity, it's gender diversity, and it's also diversity of thought. And to your point, Tonya, so much of how we communicate and how we just see the world and we go through the world is based, it's that balance, right? We talked about kids. It's that balance between nature and nurture. And there's certainly nature in all of us that, we figure things out just because of who we are. But there's nurture as well. And there's things that we learn along the way. And so while our cultural experiences, how we're raised and who we interacted with as we were younger, that definitely impacts you. But one of the things that we found through all the work that we've done and the studies that we've done is that if you can get people to understand communication style and you can embrace that with people, you start to become a better communicator, which allows you to get your point across more effectively. It allows you to engage other people in your ideas more effectively as well. And it ultimately allows you to be more effective in building relationships. Before the show started, we were talking a little bit about just the four of us, our four personality styles. And Gia, you were commenting that you kind of like Evans, a little bit more reserved. You're not the big chatty Cathy kind of, hey, how's it going, everybody? And Tonya, you and I apparently are more on that, outgoing, step into a party and, hey, everybody, what's up? We're here kind of thing. That right there is personality style. And what we talk about in our book is that you can understand those styles. And if you understand them and you honor them, suddenly, if you are working with somebody in the workplace, whether you're a leader or not, if you understand kind of the other person's preferences of how they like to communicate, you can make all the difference in the world. I'll give you an example. So if it's Monday morning, which it is right now, but it's Monday morning and you go into the office and Tonya, you come in and you're like, oh man, this weekend was great and I had the best time. And hey, G, what'd you do? You're having a great time. G's probably sitting there going, can you not? Right? It's too early.
Tune it down.
You know what, Brett? I wouldn't be saying it like that though.
Oh no.
You would make the face.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
You probably wouldn't have to say anything, I'm guessing, right? You got to look.
Yeah, I gotta look. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so that kind of experience, though, there's certainly a lot of fun that we can have with this kind of thing, but that's a very simple example of a very real life thing that happens on teams that we work all the time. You have one person that's very outgoing, wants to share personal details, wants to be really gregarious, and you have somebody else that's a little more subdued, a little bit more reserved, is there to get the job done, doesn't want to share their personal details. Now, the problem is, if you don't think about it from any kind of a psychological perspective, those two people can just get really frustrated with each other, right? Yes. The more outgoing person is like, why won't you engage with me? Share something. And, this is life. Live. Come on. Right. And the other person is probably saying, they're frustrated with the person who's being more outgoing because they're saying, we're here to work. Do we need to talk about this stuff? But it's predictable.
That's Gia.
It's predictable. There are people like this. Go ahead.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm just thinking, as you were talking, I'm thinking about me and my old partner. She retired last year. And everything you just said was so, because she's a chatty Cathy, and she would come to work all the time, wanting to engage and talk, and she would always tell me, "How come you don't open up? How come you don't talk? You don't engage and stuff." So when you were talking, I had flashbacks of her and I in the office.
You're giving Gia PTSD over here, Brett.
Well, I'll tell you what, so. You're like so many people that we work with. And really part of the reason why we decided to write this book was because we kept seeing people getting frustrated by not understanding that this isn't just someone, trying to frustrate you, right? It's that we're wired in certain ways. And if we can get people to understand some of that wiring and kind of meet each other in the middle. So if the big gregarious person comes into work on Monday morning and knows that the people around her aren't going to be doing that same thing, well, she can be more effective by pulling it in a little bit, right? And the people that know that they're coming into work and they're going to be stepping in with a gregarious, and they could think about it in advance, go, okay, I'm not going to want to do this, but I'm going to tell one story about my weekend, and that will at least kind of engage me in the conversation with the person, and I'm kind of doing it so I can connect better with that person. When we can get people to kind of understand some of those things, suddenly when it comes to real work, getting the job done, delivering on customer service, getting projects done, delivering things on time, we're able to work more effectively together. And ultimately, in the book, we outline a whole bunch of stories of people that have done exactly that. They've had this kind of realization of how their personality and communication style is a little bit different than the people that they work with. And they've understood those differences. And then they've started to not get frustrated by them, but rather start to embrace them and put them to work, because there's a lot of good that can come from diversity, as we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
So my other question is, because all that you're saying, you guys, the book sounds like it's geared to the workforce. Are you going to come out with a book that with the same concept that we could just apply to everyday life and dealing with people that we have to deal with outside of work?
That is not the first time we've heard that question, Gia. I think that book is actually starting to write itself.
Yeah,
Right here.
It is. It's the same exact thing, right? It's just human interaction, right? We use the workforce because that's where we kind of face it, and actually we targeted the book actually for a new leader, new supervisor, new manager, to kind of help them. But it does help anybody in the workforce. The other thing that I'll say, kind of go back to one of the earlier questions. How do we start to handle those really big issues that we need to deal with in corporate America and elsewhere in our society? Part of it is breaking down those walls at individual level. Because if I can actually start to communicate with people a little bit better and get rid of some friction, because all too often when we have those different approaches, people view it as my approach and the wrong approach. And it's not, it's just different approaches. So if we can start to appreciate that and start to create relationships and start to talk a little bit better, we can actually get to more difficult conversations. If we're stuck in the it's my way or the wrong way, we really struggle to even get to talking about more important issues, whether they be work issues or other issues as well.
One of the things that I want to ask you, because I am a communications professional and you work on communication within a workforce. A problem that I notice is when I'm trying to communicate, I won't say me, anybody's trying to communicate, what I'm trying to say might not be interpreted to that other person the way that I think I'm giving it off, right? So I tell people all the time, it's not what you say, it's how they interpret it. How do you start to teach people, educate them, and retrain them that what they're giving off isn't always what's received? Because many times I can find that is a problem. It's not always what you say, it's how it's received or how it is taken by the person you are talking to or delivering the message to.
Tonya, I'm having flashbacks of my mom right now. It's not what you say, it's how you said it.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's what you're going to. Evans, you want to address her actual question?
Yeah. So back in the Stone Age, when I went to college, I had a communications professor who said, it's not what you say, it's what the other person hears.
Yes.
And it's very much that way. And what's important to us, and here's kind of why Brett had mentioned, we kind of tied a couple of different models together. One of those models is that personality model. And we chose personality model that's very powerful, very robust, but also very easy for people to see and understand. And by understanding a little bit of those styles, we can start to actually question our own communications and say, is that meeting the needs of those different styles I'm going to be communicating with? Because if I write communication, I tend to write it because I think people are going to think like me. And that's not a safe place to be, right? So how can I start to get myself a little bit better language, a little bit better context around how that is likely to be received by my different audiences, by what are the things that are going to be important to them? And part of it's their position or their role in an organization, but part of it is actually their internal style. Am I taking care of the things that are going to concern them, but they don't hear that as part of the message? So the styles helps us start to think about that in a little bit broader perspective. Now, I mean, everybody is different, but there do tend to be some commonalities about things that different groups tend to be concerned about, or different personality styles are concerned to hear. We've talked about a little bit that, Brett and I are a little bit different. My style tends to run to, I want to make sure everybody's going to feel okay. Which may mean that when people are pushing change, I want to hear, okay, have we figured out how this is going to impact people? If that's not part of the message, I'm probably going to be a little bit concerned about what I've heard, right? Brett's going to be excited about what's the new possibilities, right? So he's looking for that energy there, right? We've got other people who are saying, wait a minute, until I know all the details, I'm going to have trouble getting on board. And there are other people who they're just ready to start marching. And, I just need the big picture and let's go. So I've got to kind of think about what are those different messages that people need to hear for them to be comfortable stepping forward and making change actually happen. Because leadership really, if you go to the root of the word, it's about leading people. It's about taking people somewhere. So all of it's about kind of change and moving us forward. So we've got to figure out, how can I help that be a good way forward for all of us?
Are you guys doing a lot of work in helping companies implement more diversity and inclusion initiatives? I know some companies struggle with that, and in these days, I don't think it's even optional to not. So, are you able to help them in that area, and if so, how?
Yeah, we are. The ideas that we're talking about here do connect very well with this whole idea of diversity. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is one piece of diversity, and usually when an organization is working on their diversity and inclusion programs, they're where they tend to go first is on racial diversity and on gender diversity these days, which is so critical that we focus on that. What we find is that when we bring in the idea around personality and communication differences and diversity as well, it adds a layer of just appreciating differences in people. And what we found is that the more that we can help a group of people that's working together both understand and honor those differences, all the differences, recognizing that, hey, the more diversity we have, the more different ideas we're going to have, the more different perspectives we're going to have, and ultimately the better in products and services we're going to be able to offer. So what we do is we help them understand these ideas, and we teach them that personality style tool, which again is called DISC. And we've talked a little bit about one of the spectrums of DISC, kind of are you outgoing or are you more reserved? Well, there's another spectrum that DISC measures, and it's how accepting of you, or how accepting are you of new ideas and new people versus how skeptical are you of new ideas and new people. And so if you're more skeptical, you're more into the facts and data of what's going on. And if you're more accepting, you're probably more into the relationships and how is this going to impact people. And what you do, DISC really simply takes those two spectrums of kind of pace, they put that on the horizontal, and then splitting vertically, you have the accepting and skeptical. So you get these four quadrants. And DISC is essentially an acronym for D, dominance people, I, influence people, S, steadiness people, and C, conscientiousness people. And so the D people are the fast-paced, they're skeptical, but they're more fast-paced, and they're kind of really into driving results. They're like, go, 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 go. You got the I style, which is also fast-paced, but they're more into people. So you have the enthusiastic people, right? Hey, come on, let's all do this together. Rally, rally, rally the team. The S people, or the steadiness people, are the ones that's where Evans falls. It's kind of, I want to support folks. I'm not quite as fast-paced, but I'm really into the relationships around me. And then the conscientiousness people are the folks that are more reserved, like their S colleagues, but they're also a little more skeptical. And so they're really into facts, data, getting it right, probably aren't going to be sharing a whole lot of their personality styles. So what we do when we look at organizations with looking at diversity issues, we'll help people understand, okay, where do you fall? In which one of those quadrants do you fall? Or maybe you sit in the middle of two of them, which you certainly can do. And how does that then impact how you communicate and how you see the world? Because I'll tell you, if you are on the I quadrant, like where I am, as Evans talked about, I'm like big picture, I'm like ideas. And so when we start working on a project, I'm thinking about, oh, this is going to be so great for our customers, and this is going to be so fun to do, and this is going to be wonderful. I oftentimes won't go to the details of, okay, well, how are we going to get this thing done? Now, thankfully, we have somebody on our team who is the C. And she is really quick to kind of say, okay, yeah, that's all really great, Brent, what you're looking up there. But have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Have you thought about this thing? And if I didn't have an appreciation for the value of her perspective, kind of, the old me, I would have just gotten frustrated. I'd be like, why are you slowing this down so much when we should be driving ahead? But I've realized that my style is really good for some things, and my tendency to be big picture is really good for some things for the team. But there are some things that I don't do very well, and that I need other people on my team with those different kinds of points of view and perspectives. And so when we help organizations build out their leadership training and their diversity training, we get them thinking, okay, that's diversity of thought. And if you get people to understand that, you're going to get them to be able to work together more effectively.
So I'm over here cracking up because Gia's cracking up because I know she is probably running back her entire career in her mind while you are talking. And one of the things, just to bring you in on the inside joke, not really a joke, but she was talking about how throughout her career, she really didn't interact a lot, right? And how that might have been an opportunity to maybe even change the trajectory of her career. Do you think bringing in trainings and leadership help like you are talking about would be able to assist people that are incredibly talented, insightful, and have great leadership, but are not extroverts, right? To be able to better enhance maybe their careers or even outside of work?
Yeah, I think actually it really can help. When we work with people, while style gives us kind of what our comfort zone is, if you will, as Brett mentioned, all of the styles, there's not a good or bad style. All the styles have things that come easier and things that take a little bit more energy to do. By helping people understand what their comfort zone is, but also what they can do to stretch that a little bit, we can help people kind of get past those limitations they've created for themselves, that kind of box they put themselves in. There's nothing about style that says what you can or can't do. It's just what's easiest for you. So there are times I want to make everybody comfortable, but there are times when, as the CEO, I've got to kind of put my foot down. I don't like doing that at all. But I know that's a place where I'm going to need to spend a little bit more energy, but that's what's required. But I'm making that choice, not just saying, well, wait, no, I don't do that stuff. And those are what we need to get better at. We need to better understand, because all of our styles have things that we're going to really excel at, and things that are going to be a little bit more of a challenge for us. It's not right or wrong. It's different. And it's understanding, when do I need to flex a little bit to work better with the people that I'm working with, to step out a little bit more.
Gia, do you think that this would have helped you or helped your department?
Well, Tonya, you're right. When Brett was talking, I was laughing, I was chuckling, and what you said was really on point when it comes to me, and I'm sure it was on point when it comes to a lot of people. But it was on point with a whole lot of things. My mind, so many things is going on up here right now. And I was almost like, wow, I was thinking to myself, damn, this is like one of the best podcasts we've done that I really enjoyed, because I'm getting so much insight about me, about myself, about Tonya. So I was like, I'm seeing my psychologist right now. I'm learning some stuff. I was all kind of stuff, and then I'm always thinking about creating things, So as you were talking, my mind was going. I'm like, okay, I can take this, and I got so many things I can create off of this little conversation right here. But it was, I think, before I go on a tangent, yes, Tonya, I think this something like this probably would have helped me early in my career, and would allow us with a lot of other people too. I think it really would have. And maybe it would have been very beneficial to me and to a lot of my colleagues. It really would have been. So it's not too late for any of my colleagues that are out there that are still working and still want to promote you guys. It's not too late for you, but for me, it is, because I'm going to be retiring soon. But for you youngins out there that I'm mentoring, it's not too late.
Listen,
Gia, you're still.
Do you guys do work with nonprofits also?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, we have a pretty large nonprofit practice where we work. One of our biggest groups right now is working actually with animal welfare organizations.
Yeah.
to help them understand. And it's an interesting place if you think animal welfare. An awful lot of people get into that field because they love animals. They have to work with people to serve the animals, but some of them actually like the animals a lot better than they may like the people when they get there. So helping them better understand how they can interact, it allows them to provide better and better service for the animals and the people that they come to realize, man, these are really actually kind of cool people. If I don't have those skills, it's just tough to make that step.
Well, and it's funny. I'm listening to this, and I think this should have been something, because we do get, though, don't get me wrong, we get training when we go to different ranks in the organization, but we always, to me, get the training too late. When we've been doing a job, we've been in that assignment, in that position for 3, 4, 5 years. We got tenure in that position. They didn't want to send you to some type of training like this, and you're saying, hell, I needed this day one. When the day one of promotion, I should have been going to this class instead of the crap you sent me to. It should have been something like this. This is what we say. So I think it's something that in all organizations, if you're going to have a program, have a training like this, it should be in the initial stages of the person's position or employment. Even when you first get hired, I think everybody should go through a training like this, because that I think would help them and be very beneficial. But also, everything, Reg, you summed up this whole Tonya and I. You summed us up with this whole disc thing. So it's going to be some stuff coming out with Tonya and I on this whole disc.
Well, let me point out, we're in the training and development business. Of course, that's what we've done for a long time. But it's not really about training. This is one of the problems that we're really taking on a mission to try to democratize this stuff, because training is all well and good if you're one of the people that's selected to go to it. But even if you're selected to go to it, all too often, let's face it, people are voluntold to go to training, right? They didn't really volunteer. Someone told them to be there. And how open to learning are they oftentimes? Which is why one of the things that we're working on right now, we have a brand new tool that allows people to learn DISC and use DISC independent, really, of personal training, of going to a class or having a facilitator. Because what we find is that the biggest learnings, the most impactful learnings about DISC don't come when someone is listening to someone like me or Evans in the front of the room or on a Zoom call. What we find is that people learn the most about their own style and the styles of others when they engage with other people in a conversation about it, right? So what we do is we have people take a DISC assessment. So it identifies, where are they on that DISC? But then we have everybody else in the organization take that as well. And this tool that we have, we call it Catalyst. It is essentially an employee directory. And so it puts everybody in the organization in one place, and it shows what their DISC styles are. And then you can click on any one of your colleagues, and suddenly it opens up and it gives you a comparison side by side. So, heck, I think we should do this for the two of you. So, Gia, you'll be able to click on Tonya and you'll be able to see, oh, Tonya cares about these things. Her priority goes here. These kinds of things really stress Tonya out. And here's how you guys work together. So this could be enlightening.
We work together well. It's so funny because Tonya is the D and the I, okay, and I'm the S and the C, and I recognize that. I recognize it early on, but it's just so funny when you're talking about this whole disc. And I'm like, when you said something, I'm like, that is so Tonya. That is Tonya to the nth degree, And then something I think Evan said. I said, that is so me. That is so me to the nth degree. And I'm visualizing Tonya and I having a conversation, and Tonya will throw something out there. Hence, this how this podcast happened. She just threw something out there, and she was already at the beginning of the podcast to the end of it, probably when she threw it out, how great it was going to be and everything. And I was like, well, yeah. And then a part of me, after I somehow committed to this, I'm thinking, wait a minute. We gotta talk about some things. We gotta lay some things out. I think this, but by this time, Tonya was full blown. We had a graphic out. We had a launch date. We had all this stuff, and I'm like, wait, slow up. But but it's so funny. But that's what I love about her. It's like she goes what we say, in our area, we say she go hard in the paint. Tonya goes hard in the paint.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. But, Evans mentioned in the book earlier, we've talked about how we've used DISC, but we've also used this idea of emotional intelligence. And so I have something for the two of you that I'd like you to do. And actually, this is something that any of your listeners can do as well. So as part of putting the book out, we created a website, solvingthepeopleproblem.com. On that website, we have a emotional intelligence survey that anybody can take. And what the emotional intelligence survey will do is it will look at 4 different parts of emotional intelligence. Do you know your style? Do you use that knowledge to make decisions more effectively? Do you know the styles of other people? And do you use that knowledge to adapt your behavior for the mutual benefit of everybody involved? So if we have the two of you first take that survey, we can get an understanding of, how in tune are you with your own style and other people's style. Then on top of that, after the fact is when we layer the DISC on, because we like to start with, okay, well, how well do you know your style now? And then we can bring DISC in to say, okay, let's amplify that. So you guys and anybody else who's listening can go to solvingthepeopleproblem.com and look for the link that says, what's my DISC EQ? It'll come to a page and it'll enter an access code. And I'd say the access code is coffee. So just enter the coffee access code and boom, you take that free emotional intelligence survey and it will give you some really good insights both to where you are now, but also what can you do to improve, to kind of take yourself to that next level.
I love that. And Evans, you're absolutely right. Some people do like animals more than they like humans.
This is true.
And with that, we want to thank you guys. So maybe we'll have you back after we figure out our emotional intelligence and get a few other leaders on here to chat with you guys. But I appreciate all the amazing information. Why don't you let us know and let our listeners know where they can get your book and how they can get in touch with you if they need to.
Sure. The book, probably the easiest way to get the book was be on Amazon. It's a bestseller on Amazon. Was bestseller in several different categories that we were really hoping for. So that's the easiest way to get the book itself. To get in touch with either Brett or I, you can use our website, solvingthepeopleproblem.com, or you can use our LinkedIn. I think both of us are on LinkedIn under our actual name. So Evans, Kerrigan, and Brett M. Cooper.
Do you guys have anything coming up you want to let us know about?
So the thing that we have coming up is the release of this new tool. It's we've been in beta testing with the whole Catalyst tool, and this week we're doing our first major outreach with it. And again, it seems to us that allowing organizations to have a DISC-oriented directory of their people to fuel their communication seems like it's a winner to us. So that's what we're working on right now.
All right. Thanks so much. Miss Gia, what's going on with you?
Nothing much. I want to jump into my little G time before we go. My G time today is really about, I'm going to talk about a few businesses today. And as you guys heard me earlier talk about, we had the baby shower this past weekend, actually yesterday. And I want to just shout out a few businesses that I use. All of them were Black owned, and they were all women businesses. And hence, I saw you have the cup today, Tonya, sisters empowering each other, because as you guys know, if you don't know, I'm all about empowering each other. And I'm always about supporting one another. And these are all sister businesses, and they happen to be friends of mine, but they still were they're business owners. And first, I want to shout out the decorator who did the beautiful decorations, Monique and Moore on IG. Monique and Moore, she's a awesome party planner, decorator, balloon artist. She created all the beautiful the tablescapes and the balloons and everything that you saw on my Facebook page that I posted, I think, yesterday. And then the cake was courtesy of Chef To Go, Chandra. She made the cake. It was an awesome cake, a marble and banana silk layered cake. And then the treats, the thank you note, thank you treats we gave out for everybody came from Jazzy Sweets and Treats. And they're also on IG as Jazzy Sweets and Treats. And those are two sisters. They do it all, but they provided the the Oreo cookies, the chocolate dip pretzels, and also some cake pops. So I just want to shout them out again on IG, Jazzy Sweets and Treats, Monique and Moore for decorations, and for cake or any kind of cake, baked goods, is Chef to Go, Chandra. So you guys check them out. Yes.
Do you have to be local for those, or do they ship around California, outside of the state?
I believe they do ship, and if they don't ship, hit them up and make them start to ship. Okay, because hey, I tell you, if you want something, hey, I'll tell all my friends that are business owners, don't limit yourself. Somebody wants your product, you find a way to get it to them. So I'm not quite sure if they ship or not, but if they're watching today, they better start. They're gonna be shipping. And as a matter of fact, I'm gonna say, look, y'all better ship y'all stuff to these people that want it in other states, up north, or whatever. Ship your stuff. So yes. Matter of fact, Brent, yes, they ship. Claudia and Sheila, y'all ship. Chandra, you ship. And Monique, you ship too. So if somebody wants some treats or wants some decorative items and stuff for their little party, you ship some stuff too. So everybody, they all ship. They ship.
Can't take her nowhere. What do you have coming up, Miss Gia?
That's it. You can always find me. I don't have anything. I won't have anything coming up until I can get my hand together. But you can always find me on IG as the Mahogany Box, or on Facebook as the Mahogany Box. I'll take your order. It might be a little delayed in me getting it to you, but if you still want to order some things, hopefully I'll be able to start using my hand more once I get into this therapy, and I'll be back in the game of creating beautiful things. That's all I have right.
All right. And for me, I don't have a tea time today. It's a lot going on. Make sure you guys stay tuned, because I will be having an announcement in March about something really cool that's going on. So you don't want to miss that. But a lot of client work. Today is our MLK celebration for the Redondo Beach Police Department, the engagement board. So if you want to go over to Redondo Beach Police Department social media networks, you can see the awesome work that we've been doing and some of the coolest performances I've seen in a long time. It's virtual, of course, this year. Unfortunately, if you saw it last year, you know how amazing it was and how proud I was to have Sand and Shores a part of that celebration. Know that we will be back next year for our third celebration, and it will be absolutely amazing. But for now, if there's anything you need in regards to messaging or storytelling and getting your message out to the media, you guys can always find me at Sand and Shores on all my social media platforms, Tonya McKenzie PR, either one. I'm always happy to help. Other than that, I want to make sure that we absolutely thank our guests for being here today. They were super cool, learned a lot about ourselves.
Yes.
And dealing with other people. But I think for today, a day of service and a day of absolute leadership, it is important that you tap into your leadership, that you understand that communication isn't just what you say, but what they hear. And if you need some help, there are professionals that are here to help you with that. So make sure you get in touch with Brett or Evan if you want to bring them in. Other than that, you know where to find them, you know where to find us, and we'll see you back here next Monday, same bat channel, same bat time. You guys have a good one.
All right. Thank you, Tonya.
Bye.
Gia.
Bye.
Bye-bye.